Hi and welcome to Dave's Beatles channel. Today's video is part 2 of my Magical Mystery Tour EPs, so please come and join me. So hello again everybody, and a fabulously warm welcome today to Dave's Beatles channel. I really hope I find all you fantastic Beatles people doing really well out there, and thank you so much for joining me again today on the channel. Well, today's video is actually a follow-on from my previous Magical Mystery Tour EP video in December, but this one actually I'm going to be showing some fantastic EPs from the 1970s and the 1980s with some really rare mispressed ones which are getting increasingly rare to find these days. So stay tuned then, as that will be coming up very, very shortly, but before then we are going to be cutting straight to I Call Your Name. So yes, we've cut straight to them old shout-outs, and it's a great big Beatle Dave hello to Dennis Wood, James Gordon, how you doing James, hope you're well, George Price, Edward Russell, Duncan Moss, Hayward Jr., how you doing Hayward, Ms. Knight Errant, and me Beatleman. So that's a great big hi from yours truly, Beatle Dave. So on to the main event then guys, and I present to you the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour double EP sets from the 1970s and the 1980s. So please come and join me. The Beatles' final EP release of the 1960s Magical Mystery Tour was released in the UK on the 8th of December 1967, just under 3 weeks before the premiere of the TV film. 11 days before, on the 27th of November, Capitol in the USA released an LP version of the Magical Mystery Tour featuring 5 additional tracks from the previous 3 single releases. However, Penny Lane, Baby You're a Rich Man and All You Need Is Love were in fake stereo on the stereo LP. With the project initiated by Paul McCartney, the Beatles continued their studio experimental techniques that they pursued on Revolver and Sgt. Pepper, although this new project remained dormant until after the death of Brian Epstein. Paul McCartney had the film idea after thinking about his childhood memories of holidaying on coach tours. He wanted to create a psychedelic bus ride in which the passengers on the coach would have magical adventures along the way. With McCartney keen to keep a focus for the band after the loss of Brian Epstein, a meeting was called on the 1st of September with Paul suggesting they continue with the Magical Mystery Tour idea, as it was something Brian had approved of earlier in the year. Recording sessions began in earnest on the 5th of September, with filming starting on the 11th, with both recording sessions and daily filming becoming intertwined during the month of October. The Beatles' use of psychedelic drugs possibly resulted in some lack of judgment in their recordings as they embraced randomness and sonic experimentation. George Martin chose to slightly distance himself from their work at this time, saying that much of the Magical Mystery Tour recording was disorganised chaos. Because the UK EP would include 6 songs, there was not enough for an LP, but too many for an EP. One idea considered was to issue an EP that played at 33 1/3, but loss of audio fidelity seemed unacceptable, so a double EP was the chosen format, which was the first such example in the UK. The cover photo featured the Beatles in their animal costumes taken during the shoot for I Am the Walrus. This marked the first time that the Beatles' faces were not visible on one of their EP or LP covers. Trailing the recently released Hello Goodbye single at the number 2 position, and also topping the record retailer EP charts for the 9th time, sales reached over 500,000, with the EP being priced at 19 shillings and 6, which far exceeded the price of singles at the time. So let's take a look. So with this part 2 video then, I've got 4 stereo variations of the Magical Mystery Tour EP, starting with this pressing from 1970 on Parlophone Records, catalogue number SMMT1. So onto the fabulous cover then. Of course you've got the Beatles in stars across the top, with the guys in their animal outfits there from I Am the Walrus, and Magical Mystery Tour there on the bottom. You've got Scenes from Your Mother Should Know there on the staircase. The catalogue number top right there, SMMT1 stereo, with nothing on the spine. So I'm going to take a look inside the booklet. Of course you've got where record 1 goes on the left there, in that little pocket. And of course you've got Beatles Magical Mystery Tour, a colour film for television, with George Clayton, Ivor Cutler, Shirley Evans, Nat Jackley and Nicola. And of course there you've got Jessie Robbins, who's Ringo's aunt, Derek Royale, Victor Spinetti, Maddie Wheat and Maggie Wright. Made in England by the Beatles. Magical Mystery Tour book edited by Tony Barrow, with the consultants for Apple there, Neil Aspinall and Mal Evans, with photographs by John Kelly and drawings by Bob Gibbon, with NEMS Enterprises Limited at the bottom in 1967. So we're going to take a look at just one of these booklets. Just going to go through all the pages. So you've got all the guys on the bus there. Of course you've got a Paul is Dead clue there with Paul, and you've got I Was underneath. And you've got the wizards or the magicians there on the left, Paul and Ringo, with the guys in Westmorland there, and Kent and John selling tickets, with George and John with Nicola there on the bus. And you've got the animation, you've got that weird photo of the skeleton, the face. We've got the guys at Westmorland again. So flip that over. And in this booklet then we've got a lilac lyric sheet. Obviously we had blue as the original, but in this booklet it's a lilac one from 1970. Pictures of the guys doing I'm the Walrus there again. More animation. Guys enjoying fish and chips. You've got those wizards again. And you've got John, of course, shoveling all that spaghetti. And George in his Blue Jay Way moment. With Ringo there with a cup on his head. And the guys doing Your Mother Should Know. With the final page of the cast and crew there in front of the bus. And on the right there, of course, you've got Apple Records with the Beatles in songs and music from a colour television film, Magical Mystery Tour. With record 1, side 1, Magical Mystery Tour and Your Mother Should Know, and side 2, I Am the Walrus, with record 2 being The Fall on the Hill and Flying, and side 2, Blue Jay Way. Of course, you got produced by Big George Martin there, of course, with some fan club details there, and the Parlophone logos, and EMI Records, Hayes, Middlesex, England. With printed and made by Gavin Lofthouse. That's a really superb condition, that one, really lovely. So on to record 1. And with these later pressings, of course, you've got no wavy sleeves. They're actually straight cut across the top, with a little bit cut out there at the top of the back of the sleeve. But you've still got the glued right hand side and bottom. So, record 1 then. You've got the Gramophone Company Limited on the perimeter rim there, with Northern Songs and P1967. With on the right there, you've got the 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number. And of course, this being side 1. With the Beatles there. Of course, on this side then you've got Magical Mystery Tour and Your Mother Should Know, with Made in Great Britain right at the bottom. And the matrix number on this side then is 7YCE 18435-1. I'm going to flip that over then to side 2. Once again you've got the gramophone on the perimeter with Northern Songs with the P1967. And on the right there you've got 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number. And this side being I Am the Walrus, with Made in Great Britain at the bottom. And the matrix being 7YCE 18434-2. So on to record 2 then. Once again you've got that straight cut across the sleeve. On to side 3, which is Gramophone Company around the perimeter again, with the Northern Songs details, the P1967, and side 3, with 45 RPM with stereo, the catalogue number to the right there, Then we got the Beatles, of course it's the Fall on the Hill and Flying on this side, with Made in Great Britain on the bottom, with the matrix being 7YCE 18436-1. I'm going to flip that over. The final side, you got that gramophone company on the perimeter again, with Northern Songs on the left, with the P1967 and side 4, with on the right there you got 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number. And of course there we've got the Beatles, and we've got Blue Jay Way on this side, and Made in Great Britain on the bottom. The final matrix on this side is 7YCE 18437-1. It's absolutely mint condition, it's absolutely beautiful, this one. So on to my next variant then of the Magical Mystery Tour EP from approximately around 1973 on Parlophone Records, catalogue number SMMT1. So on to the booklet then. And once again then, you've got fully laminated front and back. Got a fabulous photo of the guys with the catalogue number and stereo top right. There's nothing on the spine, of course. A slight variation with the lyric sheet on this one being a slightly different colour, and on this particular one, this version, it's green, so we've got a completely green lyric sheet on this one. A lot harder to find this particular one, so keep an eye out for that one. But everything else is exactly the same as the previous version. So on to record 1 then. Of course, once again, you've got those straight cut sleeves across the top, with a little bit cut out there at the top there, and the glued side and bottom. So on to side 1 then, with the gramophone company again on around the perimeter, and the Northern Songs details with the P1967 and side 1. And on the right there, you've got 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number. And at the bottom there, we've got the Beatles, Magical Mystery Tour, and Your Mother Should Know, with Made in Great Britain, with side 1 matrix being 7YCE 18435-1. And flipping that over then, onto side 2, the gramophone company on the perimeter again, with Northern Songs, of course the P1967 and side 2, with on the right there 45 RPM, stereo and the catalogue number. And of course we've got I'm the Walrus on this side, and Made in Great Britain on the bottom, with the matrix on this side being then 7YCE 18434-2. And there is versions of this particular EP obviously with I'm the Walrus playing in mono, so look out for that one too. So on to record 2, and you've got the straight cut across the top again on these sleeves. Of course on side 3 then, you've got that gramophone company on the perimeter, with the Northern Songs details and the P1967 and side 3. And on the right there, you've got 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number, and the Beatles, The Fall on the Hill and Flying, with Made in Great Britain there. And the matrix on this side is 7YCE 18436-1. And the final side then, flipping it over, this is where we got a nice rarity on this particular side. So once again, there you got the Gramophone Company Limited around the perimeter, with Northern Songs and the P1967. With on the right there, you got the 45 RPM, stereo with the catalogue number, and of course the Beatles and Blue Jay Way, with Made in Great Britain at the bottom. Actually, this particular side plays in mono, so it's extremely rare to find this one. And the matrix, of course, is the mono matrix, being 7XCE 18437-2. So check your matrix numbers, and obviously if you've got a stereo version, it plays in mono, you've got a little rarity on your hands there. So the next variant then of the Magical Mystery Tour EP is approximately from the mid-1970s, released on Parlophone Records, catalogue number SMMT1. So onto the sleeve then. Once again, we've got fabulous vibrant colours there, fully laminated both sides, with the catalogue number top right there, and nothing on the spine, but it's in absolutely fabulous condition. It's a slight variation here. We've got slightly different colour lyric sheet again. This one's sort of like a dark orange, or sort of dark yellow, I guess you call it. So obviously the originals were blue, then we had lilac, and then we had green, and now we've got a darker yellow. Fabulous, that one. So once again then, we've got those straight cut on the sleeves, this one. Another rarity on this particular one, on side one, which we'll come to in a moment. So we've got the gramophone company on the rim again, with Northern Songs details and the P1967. With on the right there, 45 RPM and stereo with a catalogue number. And of course the Beatles, and you've got Magical Mystery Tour and Your Mother Should Know, with Made in Great Britain at the bottom. Actually, this particular side plays in mono. Once again, it's another mono mispress. Really, really rare. So both tracks play in mono. Of course, the matrix number is, on this side, is 7XCE 18435-1. So another rarity to look out for, guys. Really rare, that one. So I'm going to flip that over. Once again, got that gramophone on the rim there, with the Northern Songs details and the P1967 and side 2. With on the right there, you've got the 45 RPM and stereo with the catalogue number, with the Beatles and I'm the Walrus on this side, with Made in Great Britain at the bottom. With the matrix on this side being 7YCE 18434-2. So on to record 2 then. Once again, you've got the same sleeves, cut across the top, straight cut. You've got the gramophone company on the perimeter there, with Northern Songs and the P1967 with side 3. Then on the right there, you've got the 45 RPM with stereo, the catalogue number. And of course, you've got the Beatles, the Fall on the Hill and Flying on this side, with Made in Great Britain at the bottom. With the matrix on this side being then 7YCE 18436-1. And flipping that to the final side, you've got that gramophone company on the perimeter there, with Northern Songs details and the P1967 and side 4. With on the right there, 45 RPM and stereo and the catalogue number, with the Beatles and of course Blue Jay Way, and Made in Great Britain. But the final matrix on this side then is 7YCE 18437-3. This one's in perfect condition. So the final edition then of the Beatles Magical Mystery Tour EP, which I'm going to show today, is this UK pressing, which is from around the late 1980s on Parlophone Records, catalogue number SMMT1. So onto the booklet itself then, which isn't laminated, it's just got some sort of gloss on it. But it's still great, still looks great. Not quite as vibrant as the previous ones I've shown. But on the back though, you've got that catalogue number again, SMMT1 and stereo. And nothing on the spine. But on the booklet then, you've got slightly different colour lyric sheet. This one, it's a really bright yellow on this particular version from the 80s. But it's in absolutely fabulous condition, this one. Really nice to see. So onto the vinyl then. And these have got black inner sleeves, both of these records. And both of these records actually have solid centres as well. But they're in absolutely perfect condition. So you've got the gramophone company on the perimeter of these as well, with the Northern Songs details and the P1967. With on the right there, you've got the 45 RPM, stereo and the catalogue number. Of course, you've got Magical Mystery Tour and Your Mother Should Know, with Made in Great Britain on the bottom. With the matrix being 7YCE 18435-3 on that side. And flipping that over then, side 2. Once again there, you've got the gramophone company on the perimeter with Northern Songs and the P1967, with the 45 RPM on the right and stereo and the catalogue number, with the Beatles and of course I'm the Walrus on this side, Made in Great Britain on the bottom. With the matrix on this side then being 7YCE 18434-3. So on to record 2 then. Once again, black inner sleeve, a solid centre record. And we've got side 3 then. We've got the gramophone company on the perimeter there with Northern Songs and the P1967 and side 3. With on the right there, you've got 45 RPM with stereo and the catalogue number. Of course, the Beatles, The Fall on the Hill and Flying, with Made in Great Britain on the bottom. And the matrix number on this side is 7YCE 18436-2. And flipping it over then to the final side, Once again then, you've got the gramophone company on the perimeter with Northern Songs details and the P 1967 and side 4. And on the right there, you've got 45 RPM with stereo, the catalogue number, and then we got the Beatles. Of course, we've got Blue Jay Way on this side and Made in Great Britain, with the final matrix on the final side being 7YCE 18437-3. And once again, this EP is in absolutely beautiful condition. So thank you all for tuning in today, guys, and joining me. And I really hope you've enjoyed seeing all those wonderful Magical Mystery Tour EPs that I've got, and also those mispressings, so keep an eye out for those. And don't forget, I really appreciate any comments or communication that I get from any of you Beatles people, and I'll always come back to you just as soon as I can. So don't forget to join me again in 2 weeks' time, where I'll be continuing with the Solo Years Part 6, and of course it's the Ram album by Paul and Linda McCartney. So please make sure you're here then, same Beatles time, same Beatles channel. So anyway, as always, if you enjoy what I'm doing, why not give us a like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos. This is Beatle Dave signing off.